All right, welcome back to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. The Pitt football team, a team win for the seniors. Victory lights all weekend is our GMC tweet of the night, 24-16. Panthers over Boston College. We'll continue with the Pitt talk right now. Let's go out to David in Washington. How you doing, David?
Hey, guys. Good evening. Hey, just want to add on all valid points that both of you made about Pitt and things that they can do. So this may be very simplistic, but I think the way back to build Pitt's program to what it once was, if we can ever get it there, starts with Chancellor Gable. And one thing that I think they absolutely should not do not offer Heather Like an extension after this season, and they say that she's in demand other places. Well, okay, she's not the only athletic director in the country, but I do think that Pitt's way back, you've got to have that commitment at the very top out of the chancellor's office, or it's not going to happen for Pitt.
Well,
and I'll hang up and see what you guys have to say.
Thanks a lot, David. They do have a commitment to Narduzzi. Heather Like has done a lot of good things for the Pitt athletic department. My favorite thing was they changed the colors back finally, but they did a lot of good things.
But they've done great with soccer.
Yeah,
the
I was going to say Olympic
program
sports
for the women.
Yeah,
for the two, and obviously the big thing for them is, the major revenue generator is always football at pretty much every school in FBS. But they do have the other major revenue producer kind of back on the upswing against all odds. Jeff Capel brought his own career here back from the dead, and now it looks like there's real reason for optimism this year. But, I think about this with Pitt. They really bent over backwards to accommodate Narduzzi, to want to keep him. And I feel like he has taken, Richie, that vote of confidence and that job security and used it to just kind of stubbornly put his mark on this program. Don't you, you follow this program as closely as I did. You were a letter winner there. You have that close tie. He took Kenny Pickett's senior season, fifth-year season, where they had all that success. They go to the Peach Bowl. They have the guy drafted in the first round. Their offense was really good. And it almost seems like he felt slighted by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I'm still a defensive guy, and that's going to be our identity. It's the same thing, really, that happened to a degree after Matt Canada left. Like, you almost got the sense that Narduzzi was a little bit flipped off, that they won with offense and at times won in spite of his defense. I think he needs to be he needs to hire an offensive-minded guy and just let him do his thing and understand that means you're going to have some ugly series once in a while if you throw 3 straight incompletions. What they did this year just is not going to cut it.
Yeah, I do think and I do believe that I think Narduzzi and Canada didn't really see eye to eye, and that was one of the reasons that he left. He obviously left for $1 million too. But then Whipple, same thing. He left, and they didn't see eye to eye. You need some excitement around this program, and they've been looking for it, and they had it. They had it, but they didn't. They were like the Pirates in 2015.
Is the building,
you didn't do anything with it.
Is the building big enough for Pat in kind of, he has an ego like any successful person does. He's been successful many times at Pitt. He's had good seasons, a great season 2 years ago by their standards. Is the building big enough where he can have somebody else in there who might get a lot of the shine? That's a real question you have to ask.
Yeah, I don't know.
It really is.
He's mentioned, remember early on he talked about being the CEO. I don't know. And even think back, before that one miraculous year with Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, they weren't really that good before that. Kenny Pickett struggled. I remember, do you remember the Clemson game, the ACC championship game, where he threw for 8 yards and they had a disastrous Sun Bowl? And there were talks of Kenny Pickett being benched. Imagine if that would have happened.
He needs to take, what Pat needs to do, I think, and this is just a mindset. He should embrace the idea that, like a MAC school would, we have to be on the cutting edge. We're not going to get the recruits, even though they can get solid recruits, I think, still. We're never going to get the recruits of a Clemson or a Florida State. We're not even going to get North Carolina level guys all the time. We need to be on the cutting edge schematically, and we need to have a bit of that underdog mentality. I think Pat comes by the underdog mentality thing, honestly. He just needs to get the schematic part down and be willing to understand that if, let me put it this way, I'll try to be concise here. I know I've rambled on about this. He needs to be cognizant of the fact that if he hires a good offensive coordinator and they have a really good offense and they win 9 or 10 games, no one's going to care whether or not Pat Narduzzi did a good enough job as a defensive coach or how Pitt was winning. They'd be happy that Pat hired a guy who helped them get to 9 or 10 wins.
100%.
That's what matters, the final end product, not whether or not they did it with ground and pound in defense.
Promise a dynamic offense, get your Golden Panthers together, get all your boosters together, and pay these kids to come here. All right, let's go out to Mickey out in Peters. How you doing, Mickey?
Hey, Richie, how you doing? Hi, Chris. Hey, can we just move on from, can Pitt just move on from recruiting quarterbacks from Pine Ridge and like Ben Vannucci and Phil Dracovic? You know, this is
Ben DiNucci was in the NFL. Look, this Phil Dracovic thing really blew me away. I thought the guy was going to be pretty good. He had a good year at BC under Signetti, got benched, last year. I thought he was going to be good, but you could see after the second game that he needed to be benched, that they needed to make a switch. And if they would have done it sooner, if they would have went with one of these guys, they might have had 2 or 3 more wins.
Yeah, but in a weird way, here's what I would say. It being so bad for them, I'm hoping serves as a collective shock to the system that they realize they just can't go about things this way again, Richie. I'm hoping. I'm going to cross my fingers. I think that's what a lot of Pitt fans are going to do. I will say, when you speak of Pitt fans, and I don't always like to try to put too much faith in social media being a bellwether for what everyone's saying, but I've not seen a situation very often in my career here covering sports where one guy's goodwill evaporated almost totally and completely as fast as Narduzzi's did after 2021.
I couldn't agree with you more. All right, we got to take a break. Back in a couple minutes.